Hello everyone. Today we will begin our metaphysical investigation about the Chinese philosophy. We will introduce you a whole new theory of the openness, open essence about the Chinese philosophy.
Hello everyone. We're two men here living in Taiwan with an attempt to try to develop Chinese philosophy along the lines of an openness theory that was started by Karl Popper in his book, The Open Society and Its Enemies. As everyone is well aware, China has posed a new challenge to Western civilization in its economic rise. This economic rise, of course, is not without its inherent problems of human rights and questions among Western intellectuals and leaders. And what we want to see is if there's any way to make Chinese society more open and less of a threat to values across the world, and make it a more harmonious society for their own people, as well as more of a friendly international community member. We're starting our project with work on the open essence of the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is one of the oldest books in Chinese philosophy. Of course, it's translated into English oftentimes as the classic of the way and the power. It's been the most translated book from Chinese into Western languages, and it's only 5,000 words, but the content of which has had a far-reaching influence and impact on Chinese philosophy, and recently on Western thinking as well. When we're going to take a look at this, of course, from my perspective, there's going to be a lot of comparison with ancient Greek philosophy and Western philosophy, and this is a very dubious task to begin with, because a lot of times scholars have said that the two traditions are so varied and different that there is no basis for a comparison. What I'm going to use here are the theories of two philosophers, one German and one Chinese, to begin our look into the Tao Te Ching. I'm going to start with Martin Heidegger's theory that the most basic question or fundamental question for philosophers or for thinkers would be the question of our own existence. But because the question is so radical, we have to bracket it, put it aside, and a response to the question, not the answer, but the response to the question, we give rise to new, different cultures. Each culture, in essence, is a response, a specific response to the questions of our own existence. In that case, it's easy to see that each tradition in and of itself would have a completely different response based on geographic, economic, and other social considerations. We all approach this question in a different manner. Of course, maybe in that response to the question, these conditions give rise to themselves too. So that is more or less a contrast, point of beginning for a contrast. On the other hand, the rather contemporary philosopher Feng Youlan said that because each tradition, each Chinese society or Chinese tradition and the Western tradition have in itself elements of the universal, we can make comparisons. That is to say that there are certain problems and certain aspects of our own existence that are common amongst all people, whether from whatever tradition we come from. In that case, what we're dealing with here is the commonality between man. So in one sense, Heidegger gives us the contrast and the differences for cultures, and on the other, Feng Youlan says that there's a way we can show that man has a common agenda. In modern Chinese society, in some places, aside from, we're here in Taiwan, and Taiwan is a vibrant democratic society who is oftentimes overlooked in the West for the sake of appeasing China and its economic goals, and our own economic goals on top of that. But Chinese leaders in some aspects, and maybe in China and in Singapore, have often cited the fact that strong leadership is more important than a democracy, that the people aren't ready to choose and elect their own leaders. In that case, they're saying that there's a precedent in Chinese tradition and philosophy that allows for this sort of patriarchal hierarchy. What we're trying to do here with we're looking at the Tao Te Ching, and later on with looking at some other Confucian philosophy, is to show that this sort of thinking flies in the face of some of the traditional texts. The Tao Te Ching, by its very nature, is an open text. It's giving us a look at the cosmos, a description of our own identification with higher principles and metaphysical principles in order to make a well-rounded society. And that goes too for Confucianism. In the Mengzi and the Mencius and some other books, he explicitly mentions the fact that if the government is not serving the people, then the people have a right to overthrow it. There's a certain openness in Chinese thought that's often overlooked now for the sake of economic ends. What we want to do with our project is put an end to this kind of thinking, and like I said, hopefully try to make life better for the average person in Chinese society, and that includes the alleviation of poverty, more equality politically and economically. From here, I'd like to turn it back over to my colleague.
Okay. So the following discussion, we will use the dialogue. We will use the method of dialogues. Please wait and see our show.